Hi, everybody. I'm so glad that you're with us again today here on Limitless. And I know that God has an empowering message for you. My topic today is co-create with the Creator. Co-create with the Creator. Now, last week I talked about Jehovah Bore, which means God who is our Creator. That's one of the names of God. And if you're familiar and you're walking with us and listening to Limitless sessions, over the last year, we've been doing a series on the names of God because we want to understand Him and His different attributes and characteristics. And so, please listen to that message. If you haven't yet, that's a great one as a foundation. And this week, what I want to discuss and understand is how God has created us in His image, and He's created us to be creators as well, right? Like we can go all the way back to the book of Genesis when God created mankind and then gave them, their purpose and their mandate. And what did He say to Adam and Eve? What did He say to them, but really was the instruction and the call and the intention for mankind? He said, go out. And He said, produce, grow, become more than what you are today. And that's one of the things that I really do love about how God has created us as His sons and daughters and how He's created us with potential, right? We can always grow beyond where we are today. We can always create more. We can do more. It's inherent within us as like just the DNA that He put within us. We're not stagnant, and we're not meant to live a stagnant life. I love a teacher that I used to listen to a long time ago. Now he's passed away, but he's quite a famous personal development teacher, Jim Rohn. Maybe you've heard of him and read some of his books or listened to his teachings at one time. And I in my younger years, I listened to him a lot. And one of the statements that he would say that I really picked up on was this: always remain a student. Always remain a student, no matter how old you are, no matter how experienced you are, no matter how much how much you've achieved. If we can always maintain the attitude and the idea that I'm a student and I can always learn more, well, that's how we position ourselves in life to keep expanding and growing and to keep creating, right? So our God is the Creator. He is Jehovah Bore. He created the heavens and the earth. He created the universe, and He created you and I. And He took that DNA, that attribute of Himself, and He put it within us to be creative, to produce, to see results in our life. And, it's not just up to Him, and it's also not just up to us in what we create in life. Like we say, if God intends it, then it'll just happen. Well, I don't 100% believe that, because God could intend something and create something with potential. But if we're individualizing it, if we don't take hold of that and do our part to put action to it, to overcome the obstacles, then the truth is we're not going to realize our full potential. God created us with the potential. He gave us gifts and talents, and He's there to support us and help us. But the way He designed it is we also have to do our part, right? It's a co-creation in our lives. We have intention. We have purpose from Him. He created us for a particular reason, but we've got to grab hold of that. We've got to walk it out. We've got to keep going when we feel like quitting. Maybe if we fail or make a mistake, we've got to get back up, brush ourselves off, learn from it, and keep moving forward. And I actually love it because there's always more. We can be satisfied where we're at. Like there should be a contentment in our present day and just enjoying our present day. And at the same time saying, I'm content today and I have enough for today, but also, what do I want to create for my tomorrow? What do I want to create in my life? What do I want to see happen? And this is the beauty of being a human, really. It's the beauty of being a child of God, that we can take our own willpower, we can take our own creativity, we can connect with the Creator, and we can see amazing results in our life. So let's just focus on that we're made in his image, right? He is a creator. He created something from nothing. We don't necessarily have that ability. We can't create from nothing, but we do have a lot of seed. We have a lot of raw material. We have so many different things that we can take, and then we can create more in our life. So we have that ability within us. And I want to encourage you that you have it within you. Some people are naturally creative and artistic, and maybe you even categorize yourself as that sort of person. Other people say, oh, I'm not very creative and I can't really, I'm not really a visionary and I can't really think, in those ways and I don't see stuff that way. Well, what I want to say to you is you have your own unique way of seeing and of producing and of creating in your life. So find your path. Find your way. Find your journey. But for sure, embrace the idea that you are creative and that you were called to produce. We can find that all through the scriptures. That's right. Right when we go back to Genesis, when God created Adam and Eve, go produce and multiply. We can look in the New Testament and we can see the parable of the talents and how when the talent that was given was just buried and saved and not multiplied, the master was not happy about that. The talent is not meant just to be, put on a shelf and looked at. It's meant to be taken and to be multiplied. That is the intention in our life. Okay. So how do we apply this? How do we co-create? That's the concept for today. Let's co-create. It's not just about us, and it's not just about seeing, whatever God wants will happen in my life. No, it's about us merging with Him and co-creating results within our life. Okay. And this can be in a spiritual aspect. It can be in the very natural things of life, in every aspect. Isn't it awesome that our God is interested and in every part of our life, even just the very natural, normal, everyday stuff? He wants to be involved. He wants us to connect with Him in that. So a question we can ask ourselves, and this is a great to do for journaling, for planning, just for thinking, for meditating, is this: what result do I want to create in my life? What result? What would I like in my life? Sometimes we call it goals, but let's take that word goal out and just say result. I personally like that better because sometimes we think, I have, goals are great, okay? And we want to have goals. But at times maybe we haven't had a good history of setting a goal and getting it done. So then we're like, let's put different terminology to it, right? Let's say, what result do I want? What result do I want from just today? What result would I like in a week? What result would I like to produce in my life over a year? It can be things like, just here's some examples. When we're creating results, it could be like, write a song. Of course, you really have to be gifted in that. But, when we think about creating something, we might think, the person that can paint a painting or that can write a song or can make music. Those are definitely creative abilities, right? But it can be things like, I want to build a ministry. I want to start something that will impact my neighbors in my community. Could be building a home or taking the home that you have and saying, I want to create it in a more homey fashion, a more cozy a way. And I want to create that atmosphere, right? I'm personally one that loves to create atmosphere. So I can walk into a room and I say, how can we make it, just like put the furniture in a better spot and maybe work on the lighting and put a beautiful rug down, and maybe it doesn't even cost that much money, but we can just change some things around. Why? Because the result for me, intuitively, what I want to do is I want to create something that's a bit more homey, something that's a bit more cozy. Like in my home, I love having that. And here in our ministry at Global Impact, we're continually working on making our office better, so it's a better work spot for productivity, but also just this sense of like, in certain areas, so that it's warm, it's inviting, but also productive, right? So these are things we can say, I want to create this. It might not be that right now, but I want to create it. Maybe it's you want to create in your life better quality time with friends or more quality time with your children. If you're a student, maybe I have to create the result of getting my modules done, my work done. I've got to write this paper. I've got to do this report. See, these are all creation examples of everyday life. Maybe you're in a ministry or an organization or a business and you need to create a website. That's what we're doing right now here at Global Impact. We're creating our website, right? We have a result that we want to see. We want something brand new. Maybe you want to own property. You want a healthy, fit body. See, these are all things that are just everyday life, but you have to ask yourself, what would I like? And what result do I want to create? Not what I just hope one day will appear, right? Because it doesn't happen that way. Like things don't just all of a sudden, you don't just all of a sudden have a healthy body and you didn't do anything. You didn't change your food intake to more nutritious food. You didn't start taking those walks, right? It doesn't just appear. We have to say, I want this result. I want to create this in my life. And then we need to take action. So I want to look at a concept too, in when we're talking about co-creating with the Creator, is I want to look at the concept of consumption versus creation, right? So the first thing is I want to create in my life. I want to have the healthy body. I want to have the home. I want to be closer to God. I want to know more of His Word. I want to build this ministry or this business, whatever it is, right? We're deciding on things that we want to create and what we want to commit to. That's really another topic. We can't, there's a lot of things we might want and we might say, I want to create, but then the next stage is then really deciding the things that we're going to commit to. But I'll talk to you about that in another session. Because we can't just try to create everything all at once. We've got to choose some things and then put action to that. But as we've made choices on the things that we want to focus on and we want to create in our life, then we have to look at also the balance of consumption versus creation. Now, I mentioned this last week as well in the topic, and this is a concept that I've been learning about and we've been studying in coaching. And I love it because even as I'm talking to you right now, it's like I'm assimilating that information even more, and I can give it to you. So what is consumption? Consumption in general is where we absorb knowledge. We take something in, or it could be food, right? We're taking food in, we're reading a book, we're watching a video, we're studying. These are all forms of consumption. And we have to have consumption in our life. But what we don't want to do is we don't want to have too much consumption or overconsumption, right? Like, let's say you want to have an action, a result in your life. You want to take action for a result, but you're stuck in studying. And so you study. And the studying moves over into overconsumption because you're avoiding taking action. It's a delicate balance. It's something we have to just look at our lives and we have to say, am I really not ready, or am I just afraid to take the action and I keep telling myself I'm not ready, so I have to keep doing this. I have to keep studying, or I have to keep reading, or I have to keep looking at the video of learning how to do it. Some things you learn because you actually go and do it and you make mistakes along the way. And that's actually how you learn. So there's no black and white delineation between when you're consuming and then you're over-consuming. It's just something that we have to continue to ask ourselves. Hey, have I learned enough? Have I consumed enough that now I can put it into action, right? Because sometimes, I notice this for myself as well. I love to listen to podcasts and I love to learn, and I'm consuming and I'm learning and I'm growing. But there's times where I need to just stop listening to somebody else, and I need to go to my journal and I need to write and I need to evaluate and I need to create for myself. I've done enough listening, and I've got to take what I've listened to and then I need to apply it. Again, we just have to navigate that through life. But I want you to take that concept as we're talking about creating and creating with the Creator. Look at how much consumption versus how much creation you have. So I like what I heard, an advice that someone gave me is that if we're gonna, let's say you're having 2 hours of consuming, can you then put in your schedule 2 hours of creation? Right? So it's like, the whole day doesn't just go away and you feel busy and you feel accomplished, but really when you look at it, all you did was busy work. It wasn't actually creating and producing. I know that we can all get into that habit. It's like we just, we circle and we get some things done, but it's really just busy work. And maybe we're lying to ourselves that we actually got something done because it really was more just kind of circular motion or very tiny stuff, and we didn't focus on the bigger things. And this is not to, put ourselves down or to feel bad about it. It's just simply for evaluation, right? Because it's, as I mentioned before, there's no cut and dry of when it's too much or too little. It's just something we can ask ourselves and say, okay, it's now time for me to move into creation, into taking the action. And I will say that there are times that you have to step into it and you don't feel ready, but you really are. And you're going to do it. You're going to learn simply by just doing it. That's just the next step. So create the result. And then, along the way too, maybe you don't do it perfectly the first time. In fact, most of the time we don't do it perfect. It's okay. Don't stop. Keep going forward. Keep creating. Okay. So a few steps that you can do in co-creating with the Creator. Obviously, number one is we want to connect with Him. We have that inherent ability to create because we're human and God put that inside of us. But how much more can we create and create results in our life when we connect with Him, the Creator? We connect with His power, with His wisdom. So that's step number one is take a few seconds, a few moments, a few minutes each day. And I love to do it through breath, as you know, as I've been teaching on, just as you take in that nice deep breath, but you're also connecting with Him on the inside. He is the Creator. He's within you. Connect. Okay, so that's step number one. And the second step is to use your imagination to see the result. I like to look at our imagination as a canvas for the future. What do we want to see? What do we want to create? Let's start with our mind's eye. We can see the day, we can see the week, we can see the year, we can see 10 years from now. But that's the next step. First, we're going to connect with God, the Creator, and then we're going to allow our imagination to see, to imagine, to dream. It's okay, just let yourself dream. See yourself creating the result that you want to create. Number three, we need to take action, right? Because if it just stays in our imagination and we never take action, well, we won't see results. So we have to decide then too, what are the actions that we need to take to see the result? What are the things on a daily basis and, over the week and year that we need to do to create the result that we want? Number four, navigate the obstacles. For sure, 100%. There's going to be challenges and there's going to be obstacles and things are just not going to work the way you imagine them. This is what stops a lot of people because they imagine something they tried and then it didn't work out at all. And then they got discouraged and disappointed and then they stopped and they said, oh, I don't want to do that again. But if you go into it just knowing it's probably not going to happen exactly as you've seen it and you hope for, well, you're more prepared to say, there is going to be obstacles, there's going to be challenges, there's going to be stuff that just doesn't work. But the only way to find out, the only way to do it is just to delve into it and work through the obstacles. And we can really learn and grow from those. So just know it. Just go into it knowing that you got to navigate what doesn't work, right? Because you don't know what you don't know when you start. And you learn it by actually doing it. Okay, and then the next step, number 5, is work on your beliefs. Your mind will give you a lot of excuses. Your mind will give you a lot of reasons why things can't be done or it's just not possible. And often we listen to our own brain tell us things that feel very true. Maybe it draws on our past experience and says, see, this is why it can't be done, or this is why it's going to hurt too much, or this is why it's too hard. You know, the kind of the complainy in our brain and the excuses. Why does it give it to us? I don't know, but it does. And so we just have to be aware, and we've got to work on our beliefs. We've got to find out, what am I believing? And am I believing something that's empowering me to move forward? Or do I have a belief, even sneaky beliefs, that are disempowering me? And as we can identify the belief, especially limiting beliefs and disempowering beliefs, we can identify and say, wow, that's actually not giving me the energy I need. It's not actually empowering me. It feels really true. Like, this feels true that I'm believing this, and this is my perception of the situation. But when we can look at it and change it up so that it's empowering us to move forward to get the result we want, well, this is really what makes a lot of changes. You know, if you've heard me teach before, one example I give about my own health and fitness is that, I think it was around 2 years ago now, but several years ago, I was starting in on a different type of eating plan, which I love the keto plan. It really works for me. I try to eat very healthy proteins and fats, and really minimize my carbohydrates down to pretty much just vegetables. So it's a healthy keto diet. It works for my body. But when I first started, I had this idea, it felt like a truth to me. It was a belief that I didn't know I had. And it was this is too hard for me to do when I travel. It's easy when I'm in one spot. I can do it. I can choose my food. But when I travel, this is too hard to do. So I didn't evaluate the thought, right? It just felt like truth to me. I just thought it, and it felt like, oh, that's true. It's too hard when I travel. So of course, what would happen when I would travel? I wouldn't follow that eating plan. Why? Because I was believing the fact that it was too difficult to do. So it was later on, maybe, because I'd had good results when I was in one spot and I was choosing that food. But then when I would travel, then I would have a whole nother, I would have a different result because I would eat differently because of my belief. My belief led to my actions. And then I wasn't getting the result. So finally, something, dawned on me. I woke up and I actually looked at that thought that felt like a truth to me. I can't do this when I travel. And I realized, yeah, if I believe that, I can't. But if I change that belief and I change it from that limiting belief and I say, you know what, it's going to be more difficult to do, but I can do it when I travel, it shifted everything for me. And do you know, when I changed my belief, then my actions changed and my results changed. I can eat this kind of lifestyle. I eat this kind of, diet. I don't mean it like, I mean my food intake is what I mean by that. Whether I'm in one spot or I'm traveling. Now, why? Because I believe I can and I find the way. Not because anything changed in my circumstances, simply because my belief changed. Awesome. So it's huge what we believe. And often we believe things that just feel like truth and fact, and they're really not. And we have to make adjustments so that we're empowered to get the result that we want, right? Because if we want this particular result, but we have a belief that's blocking that result, if we don't work on the beliefs, then we're not going to get the result that we want. So a very important part of this is to work on your beliefs and make sure that you have beliefs that are empowering you to get the result that you want. Okay, so those are like kind of 5 different things that you can apply. Number 1, connect with the Creator on the inside of you. He will give you the juice, the power, the grace, and creative ability so that you can co-create results with Him. Number 2, use your imagination. Use the power of your imagination to see. Take action. You got to get up off the couch. You got to get up off the chair. You got to do the hard stuff. You got to do it when you don't feel like it. That's just the reality. You got to navigate the obstacles. You got to work through the stuff that just didn't work out the way you imagined or thought. You got to work through the disappointments and keep going. Be aware of your beliefs. Change your beliefs. Work on your beliefs so that you can get the result that you want. I just want to end this with an example that here at Global Impact, we're so blessed and so fortunate to have our own building. We're so thankful to our partners that get behind us and to help us actually have a home for the ministry. And from this home, from this place, from this building, we're able to reach the Philippines and really the world. But we have an ongoing projects of renovation of the building. And so I was thinking about it with this particular topic, co-creating, and how it's such a great example that when you're renovating or you're doing something new in a building, you really have to take all of these principles and apply it. For example, right now we're in the process of redoing our ground floor where our staff and our scholars live. And as I mentioned earlier, one of my heart's desires is to create an atmosphere that's, in this case, because people live there, so it's homey, it's cozy, but it's also produces productivity. And it's a place that people want to be, right? So we're thankful that we're putting in like new cabinets, so it's better functioning, new bunk beds, so better sleep and all of that. So what did we do though? We use these principles. I first had to see it, have the hope for it. We had to imagine it in our mind. And then, when you're renovating, we can even go to the stage of getting software programs and designing it, which is exactly what we did with our contractor. And so we designed the actual cabinets and the bunk beds how we wanted them to be, because it's small space, so we want to utilize our space well. And when we put some thought and design into it, we can get a lot more functionality out of it. So we did that. We used imagination and we used software to see ahead of time what we wanted to create. Okay. And then second, we've got to get the workers in. We have an awesome contracting company. And so they send their workers in to build the cabinets and to do the painting. And, along the way, everything didn't work out as planned. There'd be times we'd go down there and the paint on the cabinets, it's a little bit too yellow. It's not quite the tan color that we chose. So we had to navigate that. There was one time there's a chip installed on the brand new countertop. And so it was installed with a chip. So what do we have to do? We have to say, okay, we have to change this up. It has to be taken out and we have to put a new one back in. The painter had to come back and redo the cabinets. So everything didn't just go smooth and quick as we would like, which is, most people say that happens all the time with renovations, right? You want it to be done in a week, but it takes a month or months. But it's par for the course. And so what do we have to do? We just have to work through it as something presents itself. We have to work through it. Why? Because we have a result in our mind that we're going through, that we're going toward, that we want to see produced, but we don't necessarily know all of the challenges that are going to come up along the way. We just have to deal with them as they come. So we did this, we're doing this. We're in the process of doing this in the renovation. Our beliefs are, we can do it. We will find a way. Sometimes it's not always so easy to find a way, but if we have a belief that says, hey, where there's a will, there's a way, and I'm going to find a way to do it, usually you can find the way. I have that on the inside of me, especially when I've got something strong. I don't take no easily. Even when no, it can't be done, we don't have that, it's out of stock. Do I get discouraged along the way? And yes, sometimes, frustrated or whatever, yes. But I know, for me, and especially in certain situations, when that vision is there, it's no, we're gonna find a way. Why? Because we have a belief that just doesn't say, oh, well, we just can't do it. Oh, well, it's quarantines right now. Oh, well, there's not enough stock. Then not materials. No, let's find a way. And thankfully, we have a contractor that's has the same kind of belief and thought. And then, what's really neat about this project is myself and another one of our ladies, we are co-creating this together. It's a great example of co-creating with God, how we can connect with Him and work in synergy. And so as I was preparing this, I was thinking about how Ems and I, in the design aspect, we synergize. It's we add to one another. She'll have an idea and I'll say, oh yeah, that's great. Or I'll have an idea and then she'll input into it, or she'll say, no, that's not good. I'll say, oh yeah, you're right. And it's amazing how we really flow together, but we can when we come together, there's synergy, and it's actually less stressful working together because we can bounce off of each other. We're drawing on each other's strengths. And that's awesome when you can find like another human being like that. You can work in that capacity. You know, not everybody like fits together so well, but when you find those sort of people and for a particular project, and you can work together and you have that synergy and you have that chemistry, it's so amazing. And I'm so thankful because actually we have that a lot here at Global Impact with our team and things. But for this project and just for this example, I was thinking about her and then taking that example of how we're able to work together, but even more how we're able to do this with God in our life and co-create with Him. That's the kind of synergy that we can have with God. Now, not just with a renovation project, right? But with the things that I was discussing earlier. What results do we want to create in our life? You can always have that synergy with your God. He loves you. He's amazing. He has wisdom, and He will inspire you, help open your mind, give you ideas. Just connect with Him. Co-create with the Creator. Create what you want in your life. Create the results. It's how He's made you. It's the potential that He's put in front of you. He's designed you for amazing things. Go and create. Don't be discouraged when it doesn't work out the first time. Just keep moving, keep growing, keep adjusting, and keep creating. God bless you.